Hey InfoSec Island folks, this is Anthony. I'm down here in Las Vegas at B-Sides. I'm sitting with Spencer McIntyre, who is a
staff consultant at Secure State.
At Secure State, there you go. And Spencer, you gave an interesting talk yesterday about at B-Sides about a new tool that Secure State came out with that you helped develop. Right?
I did develop, yes.
That you did develop. And the talk was called How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Smart Meter. And the tool is called the Terminator Framework. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So the Terminator Framework is a open source utility that I developed in order to help us with security assessments against smart meters. So it allows us to give very low-level access and control to the meters themselves and do things that we can't otherwise do with the programs that are already out there. It allows us to have the ability to read raw values and write raw values to the data that's stored on the smart meter, as well as run basic tests against authentication and access control so we can verify that those controls are in place and that they're functioning properly.
And so currently, what's the application for the Terminator tool?
The application is mainly focused on the security assessments of the smart meters themselves, so on the devices. It interfaces with them over the optical interface, so users have to be directly connected to them, and they have to have physical access to the smart meters at this time. But it is focused on giving the researchers and pen testers and ultimately the vendors themselves the tools that are necessary to run security checks and ensure that the security implementations that are in place are properly functioning.
And what kind of information can be derived by using the Terminator Framework?
Right now, because of the low-level control that the users have when interacting with the meters, anything that's stored on the meter that the users can get access to via the authentication mechanisms that are in place, anything can be pulled off the meter. So we have the ability to pull off any of the tables that are being stored on the meter.
And you were telling me just a few minutes before we started the interview about some of the information you were pulling off. What is someone going to find if they're using this to pen test a meter?
Well, on pen test, one of the first things people are going to want to do is run through probably like the brute force module, which is going to go through and check all the access, try to get authenticated to the meter itself. And once they are successful with that, what they can do is they can go through and enumerate out and see what tables they have access to. From there, they can read information off the device.
And so is this an open source tool?
This is. The Terminator Framework is written in Python, so it's all a scripting language, and it is completely open source, released it under the GPL v3 license.
Okay, and what's been the reaction from the security community so far to the tool?
So far, it's gotten a lot of press, being that it's the first publicly available tool to run the assessments. There's another tool out there called OptiGuard from InGuardians, but to my knowledge it has not been made publicly available just yet, so being that our tool is open source, anyone can download it, anybody can get a hold of it right now, it's much more accessible by the community. So there's been a little bit of concern raised around that because we're not regulating who can get access to it, but at the same time, we're hoping that it will give the proper people the tools that are necessary, that are needed to check in, to encourage the vendors to fix the security issues.
Now, at this stage in development, it's not really a tool that can be used to go out and scout for vulnerabilities that can be exploited.
No. It requires the user to be physically connected to the meter itself, so there are no remote capabilities at this time. And furthermore, users have to have a good understanding of the internal workings of the meter in order to be able to use it proficiently.
And how about from the manufacturers? Any feedback yet?
I have not gotten any feedback from any of the manufacturers. I know some of them have been notified since my talk, and I'm waiting to hear back from them.
Okay, fantastic. And then future development with the tool?
Future development, hoping to release some more modules and make it more user-friendly. Of course, being that this is the first release, there's always some kinks that have to be worked out, so hoping to make it more usable and eventually get it out there more, so just be able to focus on support for additional meters, things like that.
And so where can people find more information and access to the tool?
The tool itself is hosted on Google Code, so there is a plethora of information on both Secure State's website, which has some of the blogs I've written on it, or some of the actual technical documentation is hosted on the Google Code site. And that is at code.google.com/p/Terminator.
Excellent. Spencer McIntyre from Secure State talking about the Terminator Framework to basically help pen testers take a look at these smart meters that are coming out, and pretty soon they're going to be everywhere. So
absolutely
important work that you're doing. Really glad that you got to take the time to sit down with us here at B-Sides. Thanks, Spencer.
Thanks.